Sunday to Coastal Connections with Courtney. Here we are in Biloxi, Mississippi. Today we get the honor to meet with one of the candidates with over 26 years of experience in law enforcement, Mr. Matt Haley. So welcome everyone on another Sunday to Coastal Connections with Courtney. Our team is so honored with the primary elections coming up August 8th. We get to meet with Mr. Matt Haley running for sheriff. Been working diligently and so hard since November. So Mr. Matt, I want to get to know you a little bit and just tell me a little bit about yourself.
A lot of work so far, a lot of work. I didn't realize how much work it was, but it's a ton. You know, there's a lot of moving parts, and I don't think everybody realizes what goes into election until you get neck deep in it.
And you've been working hard. I see it at all the community events. And not only are you working hard right now, how old were you when you got into law enforcement?
So I was 23 years old. I started under Sheriff Joe Price.
And how old are you now?
I'm 48 currently.
Wow. So you started at the very bottom. And what inspires you to go into law enforcement?
You know, actually, it was sort of a fluke. I had a friend of mine that worked at the jail, and he gave me a call one day, and he said, "I really think you should come down here and try this out." And you know, I was working in a factory at that time of my life, and just decided I wanted to do something different, and the rest is history.
Well, at 23 years old, do you live here? Were you from here? And where did you go to school?
Yep, I was born and raised in Orange Grove, Lyman. You know, some people know it as Lyman.
Sure.
And I went to high school at Harrison Central High School.
Okay, so you went to school, and were you interested in these type of things and in the community and the safety?
No. Again, it was sort of a fluke. I started working at the jail, and I'd done very well in the jail. And you know, I'll never forget it. Sheriff Joe Price called me when I was working one of the blocks, and he said he'd gotten a lot of good reports from me, and he wanted to try something different with me. So he moved me from the jail to the transportation division, and from the transportation division, I was there for 6 or 8 months, and they decided that I would suit them better on patrol. So I went through the police academy after that. And once I got through the police academy and got to the road, I realized this was what I was meant to do.
And you know, you've been in the experience over 26 years. And
Yes.
you started at 23. What things go on in the operations starting at such a young age that makes you feel qualified to actually take on this huge position for Harrison County?
You know, I tell people all the time, I've done everything in the agency there is to do but fly the helicopter, and I don't want.
But that's coming, I'm
I don't
sure.
want anything to do with that helicopter. But no, I started on patrol. From patrol, I got involved in the K-9 division. I spent 10 years in the K-9 division, 6 of those as a criminal interdiction officer. That's the officers that you see sitting on the interstate for Harrison County. And then from there, I went to general investigations. From general investigations, I went to narcotics. From narcotics, I went as a task force agent on ATF. And then from that, I went back to narcotics and actually was promoted to lieutenant to run the narcotics division. and also be the commander of the Coastal Narcotics Enforcement Team.
Well, you're very experienced, and a lot of people, you know, around the Gulf Coast are very confident because of your experience. You have so much experience, you've actually done it hands-on, and you're qualified. What inspires you to get out there? Because it's not always safe. You are putting, you know, yourself at a risk as well as training these law enforcement.
I 100% believe that it's a calling. It's either in you or it's not.
Yeah.
It's definitely a calling.
So growing up and at Harrison Central and loving the Mississippi Gulf Coast and the community, you always had that little spark where you were interested in others and observant?
Yeah, I did. And as time went on through my law enforcement career, I became more and more passionate about it.
And what were you like growing up in high school at Harrison
You know,
Central?
just a normal kid. I played baseball and, you know, just did normal kid stuff.
And starting at 23, you do have a family. Were you beginning your family? You have a beautiful family,
I was starting my family, yes. I've got 2 boys. One is graduating high school this year, and my oldest son is actually in law enforcement also.
And what do they think about their father running for such a prominent, you know, dependable position?
You know,
all of us?
I sat those down first because, you know, a lot of people they don't realize how stressful
Right.
running for office is. You know, it entails a lot and it's stressful on the family. And, you know, I sat both of them down and talked to them about it, and they both said, "Dad, we think that you'd make a great sheriff."
I love that. And you have to have their support because
Absolutely.
their life is changing a little bit and the preparation.
They're part of your team. So,
and you're calling, you feel qualified, you stepped on a limb. And what have you been doing since November 7th that it's working towards this election?
It is from can to can't, 7 days a week. And, you know, a lot of people ask that, you know, what all are you doing? And I said, it'd be easier for me to tell you what I'm not doing.
Sure,
So,
right. You
than
put
to
your
do,
life on hold.
than to do, you know, to tell you what I am doing. But, you know, people don't realize how many events go on in this county.
You everywhere.
And I mean, it is all over the county. And, you know, this county's 552 square miles. So you can imagine the amount of things that go on in a county that size.
And I see your signs everywhere, and I have, you know, admired you as well as so many other people. Mainly, you know, your experience, your morals, your values. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I am 100% running on my experience.
Absolutely.
You know, this is not something that I ever dreamed of doing. You know, I haven't said from day one day I'm going to run for sheriff.
I mean,
I did not say that I was going to run for sheriff until our current sheriff decided that he was not going to run. And I had leaders throughout the agency calling me, telling me that they really thought I should consider doing it.
and your confidence and your positivity, it's very contagious. You do everything as well as your family is supporting you. How do you feel it is going with all this hard work since November?
I remember Sheriff Peterson telling me while he was running, you know, I remember this in 2015, him telling me how humbling it makes you. And he's 100% accurate in that. It really humbles you when you see people come out that you've helped over the years, you know, just step out in the limelight to help you and you know, and be out there for you, pushing you.
Right, and Matt, you say it's your calling. I mean, you are putting everything on the line, and you're putting your heart, your soul, your sweat, your tears, representing the community, and it either could work or it could not, and your family is along the line. How does that feel?
It's a little scary, you know.
Sure.
It's a roll of the dice for sure. Fortunately for me, I had enough time to retire, so I'm able to campaign full time until August. You know, not everybody has that luxury, but fortunately for me, I did. So
you actually retired, and when did you retire?
I retired January 31st.
Oh man, and you did this in the intention that you're calling, you were recommended to run for sheriff.
I absolutely plan on winning this election.
Absolutely, and I love, you know, getting to know you. It's been so wonderful, and your confidence. It makes me, as a local, you know, growing up and loving the Mississippi Gulf Coast, the confidence in our safety, confidence in the children, our grandchildren, the education.
You know, that's probably the most common question that I've been asked throughout this is what are my plans and what are my goals? And, you know, this is this is going to be a unique situation because Sheriff Peterson has done such a phenomenal job, and he's done so many good things throughout the department, and things are really going well. But I do have plans to build on what Sheriff Peterson has already started. You know, right now our biggest problem is recruitment and retention of our officers, and it's along the Gulf Coast. It's not just with Harrison County. Every agency is feeling the same strain, and I feel like that, you know, it's one of those things that people just aren't wanting to do this job anymore, and you know, it's scary.
It is scary, and it has to be a calling to devote yourself as well as you have a large family.
It is. But with the amount of officer shootings and things going on in the community, a lot of people just aren't wanting to put themselves out there. And I think the only way to change that is to get back in these schools and start pushing this career on a younger generation and let them feel excited about it and just, you know, push harder into the schools and not just colleges and high schools too. I think that's going to make a big difference. Start laying the foundation early.
And are you feeling like the programs like DARE and all of the things y'all do promote in the community for awareness, is that increasing?
I wouldn't say that it's increasing. I would say it's still moving along pretty much the same, but we need to increase our efforts.
Right. And you plan on coming in, and you know that is a huge position because as the development and we are growing Mississippi Gulf Coast, we have so many people moving down here because of hospitality, the industry growing. The crime rate has slightly increased.
It does. It increases with population.
Sure.
And I would say since Hurricane Katrina, the population has just increased over the years. And when that comes, crime comes.
Right.
And when different things come, you know, the casinos and different types of businesses, you know, we've got medical marijuana that's on the forefront, and that's going to bring more crime. So we have to stay ahead of the game on all of those sorts of things.
Well, I know you're limited on exactly how much you can elaborate and what you can say about different issues, but when we get back, I would like to learn a little bit more about the plans that you are implementing, a little bit about a mentor that is possibly giving you the confidence to run for such a position, because the confidence is very imperative because we are growing rapidly.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the main reasons that so many people love the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
I agree.
So we're going to take a quick break and we will be right back.
Visit the Gulf Coast's newest casino.
Come in today and experience the beautiful smoke-free Beachview Casino.
Pick your game. We have your favorite slots and table games and a sports book.
Enjoy incredible views while you dine at one of our many restaurants.
And grab a drink while you enjoy live entertainment every weekend in the heart of the action.
The Gulf Coast's newest, the smoke-free Beachview Casino Resort, Gulfport.
Thank you for calling J. Allen Toyota Service.
This is what happens when you set an appointment at J. Allen Toyota Service. We will order the part right then, so it'll be here when your appointment comes. Our greeter staff will greet you quickly and friendly and top off your fluids before your car even leaves the drive. Then your car will go to one of our 6 two-man express teams or one of our 10 certified technicians so they can get you back on the road safely and quickly. This is service the way it should be at J. Allen Toyota Service.
Thank you, South Mississippi, for making us your #1 Ford dealer on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. 39 years strong of quality sales, service, and parts. Don't forget, we'll beat your best deal regardless.
are a beacon of healing, resolute and consistent. Determined, we are problem solvers, driven to overcoming obstacles. Unshakable, we are prepared, capable, experienced. Unbeatable, we are a network of people providing care throughout your lifetime. We are believers in the healing power of compassion. We are Memorial.
Okay, Matt, so you've worked so hard, you have so much experience. Who is the mentor that has helped you learn all the ropes, ins and outs?
Over my 26 years in law enforcement, I have had a lot of positive roles. Again, as I said earlier, I started under Sheriff Joe Price. I've worked for 4 sheriffs. They've all been wonderful sheriffs, and I feel like I've learned a little bit from each one. I'll take something from each sheriff that I worked for, but I would have to say Troy Peterson would be, my biggest mentor at this point. I had the opportunity to be with him while he ran for sheriff, and before that, he was actually my captain when I was in the narcotics unit, and I've learned a lot from that man.
How was that being in the narcotics unit? That sounds fearful. That sounds risky, having a father in a narcotics and showing up and defending all of us.
So before I got involved with the narcotics unit, I was working in the K-9 division, and I thought that was pretty scary, chasing around bad guys in the woods. But when you've got a dog there to support you, it's not quite as scary as what you think. And then I went to the narcotics unit. When you start crashing through people's doors, not knowing what's on the other side, it's a little sketchy.
Well, how do you running for sheriff, the pressure, the running in the campaign, when you are in a situation, life or death, do you think about the community as a whole? You are taking a risk as a father, as a friend, as a law enforcement. That is a huge responsibility.
You have to always think about the community and your family and the difference that you're making in society itself. I mean, it may not always be at the forefront, but it's always in there.
And I'm so interested, I enjoy the coast. So many people move here because of the taxes, because of the safety. But you are in a position, we are growing. And, me enjoying my runs on the beach and enjoying the community. I mean, there are people working long hours for our safety.
There are.
And how important is it to do your homework?
So as far as the election goes, I would encourage everyone to do their homework and just and not just in my race, but in all the races. You really want to look at who you're going to support and who you're going to vote for. It can make all the difference in the world between a good candidate and a bad candidate.
Right. In our future, like I said, our children, our grandchildren, the millennials, we depend on that. We depend on these leaders that are going to step out, face their fears, because truly it is a calling. It'd have to be.
And sometimes just a little homework, the choice is always very clear with just a little homework.
And that's what I love about it, because I watch Fox News and WLOX, and I get to know the facts. I get to know who's running, a little bit about them, but I want to get to know the person on a personal level. What are those morals and values?
Right.
What drives you to get out there and work in the narcotics in the K-9 unit? Because you were a young boy.
Yeah, I was very young. I started at a young age, and I hit the ground running, I feel like. And if once elected to this position, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hit the ground running.
Well, it is coming up, and your hard work. I know, the long hours and working so hard in the community. Do you feel confident about your work? Do you feel like it's moving in a direction where you've given it all, your all?
I've said probably no less than 20 times in the last week, I hope I feel this confident in August as I feel right now.
And that's one thing about you. You're giving it your all.
100%.
From the second you wake up till the night you lay your head down, you've done all you can, so then you just surrender the rest.
When I retired the 31st of January, the next day I left my house just like I was going to work, and I haven't stopped since.
I mean, that is a huge confident, take. You retired and said, I'm going to give this my all. and not really knowing the outcome, but your confidence isn't contagious. Your love for the community. Tell me a little bit about how you feel about the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Oh, I love the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And, you know, being in law enforcement, you get to see so many different sides of just business and people in general. It's not just in one area. You get to see it all over the county. And I look forward each time these events come or something different comes up, I look forward to going to those events and meeting new people and just seeing different things.
Well, Matt, you know, people like you in this position, my show, I really try to focus on all positive things. But the fact of the matter is the public, you know, the shootings, how do you feel about that? And are we at a risk, or do you feel like the safety can be implemented?
We're always at risk. I mean, you never know what's going to happen every day when you walk out the door, or, you know, you go to Walmart, or you go to church, or you go wherever. You know, there's always a risk anywhere you go. So I don't think it's any more or any less than it's always been.
Right.
But I do think that law enforcement needs to continue to be proactive and be vigilant in what they're doing. You know, part of my career I spent as a task force agent with ATF, and part of this task force, what we were doing was taking guns off the street in a local area in Harrison County. And we focused on that for just about the entire 2 years that I was there. We currently don't have a task force agent in ATF, but I plan on putting one back over there to help continue that role.
Well, that's interesting. You also mentioned that we have a high demand for law enforcement because people, you know, they're not coming out of school and growing up being like, this is what I want to do. Do you feel like you need a really strong team, and do you going to implement things to get this team?
Yeah, so right now we have one person, you know, one individual that's out doing that, and that poor fella has worked from can to can't, and
I'm sure
we're going to have to increase that, and like I said, put more emphasis in our schools and with these younger people. It's got to start somewhere, and I think we need to start in the younger generation.
Absolutely.
What we're doing right now isn't working like we want it to, so we're going to have to change that and just do something a little bit different.
Well, that's a big responsibility, you know, and you do go to college, you have all these dreams and aspirations, but none of that is possible without law enforcement.
It's not.
It is imperative that we have a strong team, to us all to do your homework. And you seem very firm, you've had the experience, and, you know, I think it's truly inspiring to know a good person is running and that we are doing our homework right here on this show.
That's correct. That's correct. Do your homework, and I can't stress it enough. Do your homework.
And I feel like a lot of your confidence comes from those little bit of baby steps of increments, going to Harrison Central, growing up on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, but also starting at the very bottom at 23 years old.
Yeah, I was a scared young man at 23 years old. When you walk into that jail and those doors slam behind you, and you know that you know you're the one having to take care of business while you're in there, it's a scary situation.
And you see a lot of different things that we don't see. I'm sure you have an intuition about people. Like when you go into situations, you can kind of feel, you know, the discernment and the vibes of things that are going on that maybe I don't know.
You know, throughout your career, though, you know, you see a lot of bad, but you see a lot of good too.
Oh, good.
And the good is what keeps you moving forward.
And, you know, your mentor, you said how he's just, you know, you just adore him. He has inspired you. You've learned from him. But you did mention you're planning on, you know, beginning to take it a little bit to different levels because of the need and the development on the coast.
Yeah, there's some things that I'm going to do different. You know, as far as the sheriff's office is concerned, you know, our K-9 division right now, we have 4 K-9 officers, 4 teams. When I was in that division, we had 8 teams, and 2 of those teams were school resource dogs, and we don't have any school resource dogs right now, and I think it's important to put those back in the schools. It's a heck of a deterrent with the amount of drugs that, you know, we see at this day and time. I'm not saying it's going to solve the drug problem in all the schools, but I think it is definitely a deterrent, so that's something that we're going to look at.
Exactly, and it definitely will help the need.
Right, and Criminal interdiction, the same thing. I was part of that unit for 6 years. That was one of the best parts of my career, was that unit. And we seized a lot of money and a lot of drugs, and took a lot of bad guys to jail. And I feel like with the amount of criminals and drugs and different things that are coming across our open borders, that we need to increase our efforts in that division. We're not going to solve the problem, but if we do our part and people see that we're doing our part, then these other agencies may, decide to do the same thing.
Jump on board.
That's right.
And also see the results.
That's right.
And enjoy the safety and the leisures of the community.
That's correct.
And you also have a huge passion for Mississippi as a whole and the safety. Do you feel like the safety is inclining as people like you step up and run?
Honestly, I think South Mississippi is probably one of the safest places that you could live. It's our law enforcement down here is top notch. Everybody does a great job. Our schools are some of the safest schools. I think South Mississippi is a great place to live.
Well, Matt, on that day, that huge day that we're all going to get out and go vote, hopefully, good luck. And I know we will all come support Mr. Matt Haley running for sheriff on August 8th. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in on another Sunday to Coastal Connections with Courtney.
Visit the Gulf Coast's newest casino.
Come in today and experience the beautiful smoke-free Beachview Casino.
Pick your game. We have your favorite slots and table games and a sports book.
Enjoy incredible views while you dine at one of our many restaurants.
And grab a drink while you enjoy live entertainment every weekend in the heart of the action.
The Gulf Coast's newest, the smoke-free Beachview Casino Resort, Gulfport.
Thank you for calling J. Allen Toyota Service.
This is what happens when you set an appointment at J. Allen Toyota Service. We will order the part right then, so it'll be here when your appointment comes. Our greeter staff will greet you quickly and friendly and top off your fluids before your car even leaves the drive. Then your car will go to one of our 6 two-man express teams or one of our 10 certified technicians so they can get you back on the road safely and quickly. This is service the way it should be at J. Allen Toyota Service.
Thank you, South Mississippi, for making us your #1 Ford dealer on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. 39 years strong of quality sales, service, and parts. Don't forget, we'll beat your best deal regardless.